for something 10 times larger than we expected.
Oh, poor babies, you're shooting me? You're shooting me? What am I under arrest for? What am I under arrest for? What am I under?
So we came up the road about a half a mile. This SWAT team is all up here.
My friend got disappeared by the Marines today. He got disappeared by them.
Oh my God, man, they activated this stuff in June. Now, we have to put the pieces to the puzzle together because something just activated and absolutely no one is even noticing it. The unit disappearing people in the riots are not who we think they are.
I just got out of jail after 24 hours because I attended a protest. The stories that I heard while I was in there, most of the people that were arrested, the 100 plus in Las Vegas last night, were just trying to make it to their cars to leave. But they were trapped and arrested. But I'm just going to show you my arrest video.
Did little girl call you a name? Did little girl call you a f***ing name? Oh, poor babies! Oh, poor babies, you're shooting me? You're shooting me? For what?
Smashing up people out of their cars is emergency operations from another type of unit. And we'll figure more of that out when we listen to this girl next.
My friend got disappeared by the Marines today. We were protesting peacefully. He was talking shit to the Marines. Of course he was. I stepped in front of him because they were going to arrest him for talking. We went down by the freeway. They had the whole cavalry out there, and they had a wall of Marines. And as soon as the cavalry started coming towards us, I was face to face with an officer like this. They grabbed my friend by the back of his neck, threw him to the ground, and dogpiled him. 10 guys on him. I'll show you the video. There you go. Guys on their horses. This is my friend. You see a sign under there? That's my fucking friend. Yeah, we can't find him. His name is Angus Johnson, and there's no protocol for this.
Wait, hold up, y'all. We gotta go back and look at something. That patch just told us that this is not the Marines. That insignia belongs to Homeland Security, but it gets even deeper. That's not even Homeland Security. When I dove deeper, I found this information out here. So the question is, do these people who get disappeared by these federal contractor units that's shady even show back up?
To everyone who wants an update on my friend Angus Johnson, we have not yet been able to figure out where he's located. They had him for like 15 hours. Hopefully he will be released on Monday. Again, he was not doing anything illegal, and they have nothing that they can charge him with.
So here's what escalates the cycle on all of us. Yes, there are people who are going out there that are actually actively attacking.
Holy cow, they're throwing bricks at the police.
So now guess what they're setting us up for? If there are people who are actively attacking and people that are not, it doesn't matter because the levels of engagement is just escalated to this level threat. And if we get these federal contractors that are willing to do exactly what this sheriff just said, this is bad news for everyone. This former sniper tells you why.
If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains because we will kill you graveyard dead.
You know, when I was in a war zone, I've had many things thrown.
Hey man, it's about to get serious out here. Lord willing, sooner than soon. But before I play the rest of this video, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai and giving double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of a great millstone. May Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai's peace be bestowed unto you, hopefully elect. I'm your brother, Yobakar from Great Millstone, Orlando. All right, and we're definitely going to need the preservation of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, that covering, that protection, because what's coming down the pipes, this is just, we say it time in and time out, although Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai is sending those scourges for amendment, he's sending those warning shots, all right, yet, the people refuse to repent and, come back to the Lord, man, speaking specifically to you tribes, which it is evident as it appears you're inching closer and closer to Jacob's trouble, all right, which is exactly that, trouble for Jacob, all right. I'm going to start with this here, 2 Edges 15, because, again, the Lord is sending these scourges for an amendment. Here it is, these different plagues, man, being sent throughout the earth, all right? And all these rumors of, another lockdown, another pandemic, terrorist attacks. It just came out that Iran allegedly just they were hit with a cyber attack on the banking system. So, pretty much people couldn't access the monies ATMs and things of that nature. And of course, you know who they're blaming it on. You know, and the question right now is, how are they going to respond to that cyber attack? You know, because alongside with that, again, terrorist attacks. You know, we all waiting and anticipating some major Black Swan event, Lord willing, that's going to really set the stage for the next phase. You know, as far as the shift to the MOTB, all right, as the system is already being set up, it's been being set up, all right, it's being prepared. It's just a matter of the, as I always say, not so major event away. You know, because at this point, as fragile as America's society is right now, you know, before I grab this, I want to grab Ecclesiastes. You know, America's already on her knees as it is. You know, and it's just it doesn't even have to be a major event, you know, but nevertheless, it's going to be something to really, like I said, transition into this next phase. Ultimately, you know, the MOTB being mandated, because the way that things are moving right now, you know, we're really just waiting at this point, man, for the MOTB to be mandated. What was I going to get? Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 12:5. Matter of fact, let's start at verse. I'll just start at 1. Remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, because Jake has forgotten, you know. You know, the Lord is constantly, let me find this real quick. Because rightfully so, you know, Yahweh Shemal Shai, having, you know, those bragging rights, you know, he has to constantly remind us and basically throw it in our face. You know, like, I'm the one, don't you remember? I'm the one that delivered you out of the hand of Pharaoh, you know, as well as all the other many, you know, victories, you know, deliverances that Yahweh Shemel Shah delivered us from. Where's that at? And just bear with me real quick. Let's start at in Nehemiah chapter 9. I mean, you know, really the whole chapter is going in. Nehemiah 9. I'm going to start at 6. Thou, even thou, art Yahweh alone. Thou hast made heaven and heaven of heavens, with all their hosts, the earth and all things that are therein, the seas and all that is therein, and thou preservest them all, and the host of heaven worshipeth thee. Thou art Yahweh the power, who didst choose Abraham, and broughtest him forth out of Ur of the Chaldees, and gavest him the name of Abraham, and foundest his heart faithful before thee, and madest a covenant with him to give the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Jebusites, and the Girgashites, to give it, I say, to his seed, and has performed thy words, for thou art for thou art righteous. And didst see the affliction of our fathers in Egypt, and heardest their cry by the Red Sea, and showedest signs and wonders upon Pharaoh and all his servants, and on all the people of his land. But thou knowest that they dwelt proudly against them, so didst thou get thee a name, as it is this day. And thou didst divide the sea before them, so that they went through the midst of the sea on the dry land. And their persecutors thou threwest into the deeps as a stone into the mighty waters. Moreover, thou leddest them in the day by a cloudy pillar, and in the night by a pillar of fire, and gave them light in the way wherein they should go. And you see, man, because this is like, how much more disrespect is the Lord going to tolerate? Because here it is, and you know, Yahweh Shah was with Jake in the wilderness, you know, But Jake still refused to, Jake still wanted to be rebellious, It's just like, how much more is the Lord going to tolerate this, How much more is he going to put up with this rebellion from his people? It says, thou camest down also upon Mount Sinai and spakest with them from heaven and gavest them right judgments and true laws, good statutes and commandments, and madest known unto them thy holy Sabbath, and commandest them precepts, statutes, and laws by the hand of Moses thy servant, and gavest them bread from heaven for their hunger, and broughtest forth water for them out of the rock of their thirst, and promised them that they should go in to possess the land which thou hadst sworn to them. But they and our fathers dealt proudly, and hardened their necks, and hearkened not to thy commandments, and refused to obey, neither were mindful of thy wonders that thou didst among them, but hardened their necks, and in their rebellion appointed a captain to return to their bondage. And thou art a power ready to pardon, gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and forsook them not. Yea, when they had made them a molten calf, and said, this is thy power that brought thee up out of Egypt, and have wrought great provocations. Yet thou in thy manifold mercies forsook them not in the wilderness. The pillar of the cloud departed not from them by day to lead them in the way, neither the pillar of fire by night to show them light, and the way wherein they should go. Thou gavest also thy good spirit to instruct them, and withheldest not thy manna from their mouth, and gavest them water for their thirst. Yea, 40 years didst thou sustain them in the wilderness, so that they lacked nothing. Their clothes waxen not old, and their feet swelled not. Moreover, thou gavest them kingdoms and nations, and didst divide them into corners. So they possessed the land of Sihon, and the land of King Heshbon, and the land of Og king of Bashan. Their children also multipliedst thou as the stars of heaven, and broughtest them into the land concerning which thou hadst promised to their fathers that they should go to possess it. So, when you read on down, I'm gonna jump down verse 26, because again, the Lord only the Lord has bragging rights to, after all I've done, verse 26, it says, nevertheless, they were disobedient and rebelled against thee, and cast thy law behind their backs, and slew thy prophets which testified against them, to return them to thee, and they wrought great provocations. So again, when you're going into this chapter, man, again, the Lord is just constantly reminding, after all I did for you people, after all the Heavenly Father did, again, it's just like, how much more is the Lord going to tolerate Jake's rebellion? And this is why, pursuant to Isaiah 26, we see why judgment is necessary. Judgment is a necessity, man. All right. And those in the right spirit are crying out. A part of our crying is sighing. So when we see what's going on, we don't run from it. We don't run astray from it. If anything, we're prophesying these things into existence because it's needed. Jake needs to get their ass whooped. So again, with all this being said, all right, here it is. The Lord here, the Heavenly Father again, showing forth His loving kindness. All right, His last act of mercy, with His prophets, it was supposed to be for Jake's good, but Jake, they pulled the shoulder. Jake, man, they're just proud against the Yahweh Shema Shai. All right, so this is why, again, more and more Yahweh Shema Shai, He's putting a spirit out there, putting a spirit on these devils. More and more, man, they're making these moves. You got ICE raiding all type of, just random places like Walmart, going up at Walmart, Jake getting taken from the job, job sites. Now, videos coming out. Now they're coming after the children. It appears, they're coming after little Jake children, snatching them from the parent's arm, snatching them from the mother's breast, separating families and so on and so forth, But this is what you tribes get, man. you know, again, for your rebellion against Yahweh Shema Shai, right? That's why going back to now in Ecclesiastes 12, because the Lord has given plenty of opportunity, more than enough opportunity for Jake to repent and get right. Ecclesiastes 12:1. Remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, because Jake has forgotten. All right. It says, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in him. While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. And, you know, the sun, the moon, the stars, you know, is likened unto wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So with that being said, you know, when that time comes, you know, there's not going to be an escape. You know, as a matter of fact, real quick, see if I can find this. Jeremiah 11 and Jeremiah 11:11. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will bring evil upon them. Talking about the tribes, it says, which they shall not be able to escape. And though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them. So you see, man, all right, and you know, when you go on to read, everything that you tribes, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, everything that you put your trust in, that's going to have to save you in that day. All right. Because your attitude has been to hell with you to the Heavenly Father, with the Lord, he's going to return that favor 10 times over. All right. 144 times over. All right. You know, you talk about the cold shoulder, you know, well, hey, the Lord's about to show you what's up. And this is just a small prelude to what we're going to see, man, in the days to come. You know, families being separated. All right. You know, people that have nothing to do with these protests going on. Nevertheless, they can't even make it into their apartments, you know, without getting shot. All right. You know, and so on and so forth is nothing but more and more mayhem and chaos, you know, confusion. All right. No way of an escape. Going back to this Ecclesiastes 12:3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. Yeah, AI is coming for them jobs, you know. Everyone wanted to revert to these at-home jobs, right? You know. And now people aren't getting hired, right? You know. You know, it's all been a snare, you know. Because again, AI is taking over these jobs now. All right. There's no need for you know, human interaction for a lot of these jobs. So AI is taking over. You know, now a lot of people can't even find work, you know, and more businesses are going out. You know, it's just downhill from there. It says, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. So there's not a bright future. You know, here it is. These people are in this spirit of, oh, this gonna be my year, right? You know, new year, new me, you know, all that bullshit, but you're still through and through. There is no bright future, you know, only for the elect. It says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Also, verse 5 is the point. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in the way. And the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail. Because you people have a vain hope. All right. These people are so backwards, man. There was this video where in the middle of the protest, and rioting, you had this dumb couple. They ended up getting engaged, you know, taking pictures and smiling and shit, you know. You ended up getting engaged, you know. The nigga ended up proposing to the woman in the middle of protest, you know. Goes to show you the pride of these people. They don't take nothing serious. And, you know, the Lord is beyond justified in what he's getting ready to bring to this place. You know, and don't expect sympathy from us, because at this point we're only, we're tired of suffering these people, man. And if it wasn't for Yahweh Shemal Shai, man, we would have, hey, because it's up to Yahweh Shemal Shai at the end of the day. All right. We just have to wait until the Lord says, hey, that's enough. Because we're tired of dealing with these people. We're tired of suffering these people, man. It says, because men go up to his long home and the mourners go about the streets. So I just wanted to make the point real quick about, it mentioned in the grasshopper shall be a burden. All right, because like I said, going back to the point, for one, a grasshopper is something that's very insignificant. But what makes a grasshopper such a burden? It goes to show you, like I said, America is so weak, it's so vulnerable. That's why I say America is one not so major event away from just that straw that's going to finally break the camel's back. So, with all this talks of an EMP strike, a blackout, cyber attack, however they're going to do it. They've been talking about this October 7th like event, a Pearl Harbor event, 9/11 event. Again, that whatever it is to really, Lord willing, set the stage for the MOTB to finally be, mandated, and, which is only going to lead to the elect finally getting the fuck up out of here. All right. But the stage is being set. If you're seeing things from a bird's eye view, so to say, from a spiritual lens, the Lord is moving everything into place. All right. He's setting the stage for chaos. So again, this is just nothing but a prelude. All right. Chaos is being set, and it's like that pressure in the pipes, and once that MOTB is mandated, then those pipes can finally burst. It can be a matter of weeks, months, before the Lord makes his return. So play some more.
Bricks, saw blades, Molotov cocktails, rocks, and not a single fucking time did we shoot into the crowd. We were specifically told that we do not kill unarmed civilians in Iraq in a fucking war zone. So why is this sheriff telling the public that if American citizens throw rocks at his officers, that they are going to fucking shoot them dead?
And when you see this next video, it tells you that we already have some psychopaths out there.
Anybody. You're on TV, and now you're pushing me on live television. All right, we didn't touch anybody. You know that's true. You're okay? Thank you, I got it. So you can see, obviously, tensions are extremely high here.
Because you touched the officer.
We have video testimony. Nobody touched an officer. Okay. Obviously, massively high tensions here. These folks are tired. They are also hot. It's a long day, and it's been a long week. We clearly didn't touch the officers. You're on live television.
And so now I have to tell you about something else that was activated. And there's a strange pattern that they're doing here that leads up to something else.
But do you guys remember in 2019 when there were lots of countries where their people were protesting and rebelling against their governments? And then we all go to bed one night and we wake up the next day to people that were just dead in the streets in China because of a mystery virus. And I'm just waiting for another virus to be released or escape.
We now have evidence of the plan that just activated. Just this month, in June, DARPA has activated the plan. Oh my God, they just activated this in June? And this one is much different because when you listen to what they say, they're talking about Kana. Real world operations happening as we speak. So you see here, but wait, here's what slapped the barbecue right off your chicken. We got the National Biodefense Board members just promoting sci-fi reality to us. And they had the nerve to promote it on Friday the 13th.
And, real quick, because through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemal Shai, the Esau, well, ultimately the Lord is going to hit this place from all angles, from pestilences, plagues, all right, war, all right. It just came out how they basically, and it's a developing story, you know, because they just caught another guy, supposedly another Chinese nationalist, smuggling, you know, biomaterial, material, you know. So, you know, there's just a lot of witchcraft going on, a lot of fishy things going on. But nevertheless, the stage for chaos is being set.
Days after the protest. And here's the more terrifying part, how they can see everything on everybody. They've dropped this from the atmosphere. They say they're not using standard technologies. They're using biosensor deployment. And DARPA just said they were going to do that. So this is a step into everybody's life and everybody's home with everything they've already dispersed on us. These biosensors are going to help them detect and respond to events. Just like the biosensor I showed you one of my viewers had. And you need to know the forces that want to show up to your door because of this detection system in live time. And it won't be nice like this.
Oh my God.
I don't know how they got away with that, but these federal forces are going to be behind this. Guess what? Under the emergency powers of CDC activation, these ones who don't care at all, and they're going to be behind these networks. How do we know this? Check this out.
You watch out.
And now becomes the big moment in all of our lives. Here's the question.
So when they do start disappearing us homegrowns, what's the plan? Because it looks like that's what's going to be happening real soon. So I just want to check what the plan was. Is it just go, keep going to work? Yeah, okay, just checking.
Actually, as a community, yes, this is very concerning because they just deputized a bunch of citizens as well to go out and be able.
And that's what they're saying with these ICE agents, you know. It's been coming out, as he mentioned in this video, you know, that a lot of these military forces and agents, in particular these ICE agents, you know, a lot of them are just deputized civilians, you know. Edomites are, you know, itching, you know, to you know, get their hands dirty, you know, get their hands on you Jakes in particular. You know, a lot of these ICE agents is coming out to be members of the militia groups and things of that nature. So like it tells you in the book of Ezekiel, man, that sword is being sharpened and it's getting ready to be loose. It's getting ready to be used.
To detain or potentially have you under a citizen's arrest if they deem you to be basically in the criteria. And who knows what the criteria is? This is a bigger operation. I'm concerned about the situation, and I know you are as well. And so we should talk about this in the comment section. But what I've seen even further from that, as the new updated revision came in for the masks, for the biohazard suits, we have now a lot of different units in the military preparing for what's to come. It's strange that they're not publicly giving you the Homeland Security warning alert for June 2025. And I want to give you this before you leave because these are the threat levels we're at. In June 2025, the overall CBRN threat level is not specified with singular universal rating as the threat environment is diverse, context dependent. However, several sources provide insight into the nature of CBRN threat landscape during this time. And here is the actual threats that you need to be looking for. And so they're saying domestic violent extremists, meaning that we already have the domestic biological droppers. And they also mention it's not just biological here. They say this. And one recently just happened in Texas, and I was like, oh, shoot, is that an attack? Small scale. But then I also said Ohio, and then I put it together. They could easily slip something in through these explosions, so be careful. And I got something really important that I'm working on next. You need to subscribe here and listen.
So, you know, hey, again, the stage for chaos is being set. All right. You know, and, you know, this is why, man, to the hopefully elect, you know, we have to prepare our minds, you know, because, you know, we don't know how this is going to play out on our behalf. We don't know where we're going to end up, you know, but something that I just been telling myself, you know, just, hey, fuck it, you know, because at this point, man, it's really all chips in on Yahweh Shemal Shai, man, you know, just all faith in Yahweh Shemal Shai. The scriptures talk about full assurance of faith. So we really just have to, hey, you know, fuck it, attitude and just Yahweh Shemal Shai, man, you know, because game time is almost over. It's almost the real deal. And Yahweh Shema Shai not take his foot off the gas pedal on this. Like I said, we don't know where we're going to end up. Some of us are going to be separated from our families, whatever the case may be. But in the midst of this chaos, Esau, he's going to use that chaos pretty much like a covering to make his move on the men of the Lord. All right, like it tells in 2 Ezra 16. But before I get that, I want to grab this in Jeremiah 18 and verse 21. Therefore deliver up their children to the famine and pour out their blood by the force of the sword. And like I said, man, we're seeing examples of that on a small level. Like I said, children are getting snatched from their parents, babies getting snatched from their parents. It says, and let the wives be bereaved of their children and be widows, and let their men be put to death. Let the young men be slain by the sword in battle. Because like I said, the Lord's getting ready to hit America from all sides, all angles. And one of that being these wars that's getting ready to break out from within. These sleeper cells getting ready to get activated. All right. Again, we don't know how it's going to play out. We prophesy in part, but I also read that in Ecclesiastes 12:5, and mentioned the almond tree shall flourish. The basically meaning, because like I just said, we prophesy in part. But eventually it's going to be real life. We're going to be in it, in the action. That's why Esdras, he said, woe was me, who shall deliver me in those days? Because it's going to get bad. It's going to get bloody, and there's not going to be an escape for these people who didn't seek Yahweh Shema Shai while he made himself available, while they had the opportunity. Again, the Lord is going to preserve us somehow, some way. And one thing I say every day, I don't know how, with these uncertain situations, I don't know how. I don't know how. I don't know what I'm going to do. But one thing I know for sure, because at this point we are beyond believing. More and more, the Lord willings become less and less. All right. I'm going to say that again. More and more, the Lord willings become less and less. Because again, just having full assurance and faith. All right. We just got to know. We just got to know. So like I said, man, one thing I know for sure is Yahweh Shema Shai. That's one thing I know for sure is Yahweh Shema Shai. All right. Because now is not the time for wavering as far as our faith. And it's a dangerous thing. It's a dangerous game that a lot of these so-called leaders, what they're doing, because what they're doing is sowing a lot of doubt. These faithless doctrines, they're sowing doubt. And that's some dangerous shit. It says, verse 22, let a cry be heard from their houses. And are we not seeing this on a small level? Again, people's houses are getting ransacked, raided, people getting kidnapped on the job sites, in the middle of Walmarts, Home Depots, just, like the scriptures tell us, hey, the man not knowing his time. Let me grab that real quick. Bear with me. I believe that's Ecclesiastes 9. Yep, Ecclesiastes 9 and 12. It says, for man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare. And is not Israel likened unto a speckled bird? Is Esau not known as that the what's the term? The fowler, right? Basically a bird catcher, right? It says, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time when it faileth suddenly upon them, when it falleth suddenly upon them. And I always emphasize the emphasis that Yahweh Bashim Shai puts throughout the scriptures as far as that sudden destruction. All right. Going back to that Jeremiah 18:22. Let a cry be heard from their houses when thou shalt bring a troop suddenly upon them. So you see, man, all right, it's just one day, things are just going to be different. That's why I always say, man, we walk on eggshells, dog, because, hey, any minute now, we are seconds away. Seconds away, like a fish caught in a net, a 1 minute, you're shopping with your family, you're out with your kids, Disneyland, a day at Disneyland, whatever the case may be. Then the next minute, hey, you're hauled off to some concentration camp, whatever. You got a knee on your neck. You're calling out for your mama, whatever. Whatever the case may be. Any day now, man. Any seconds away. It says, for they have digged a pit to take me and hid snares for my feet. So you see, man, America's been being infiltrated, America's crumbling from within, and again, the Lord is bringing this place. The Lord's going to hit this place from all sides, and there's not going to be a way of an escape, So like it says in 2 Esdras 15, because of the pride of these cities, these people, man, they're in trouble, and, again, as far as the hope for the elect, hey, we're going to be, caught up in the mix, we're going to get touched. We're not going to get what these people are getting, but we're going to get touched. Because again, in the midst of this chaos, Esau, he could very well make his moves, snatching brothers up, And the scriptures tell us in Revelation that, the devil's going to cast some of us into prison, right? We're going to be tried, man. So like I said, man, that's why it's just, hey, fuck it. Yahweh Bashim Shai, he is. I don't know how, but the Lord, hey, he is. So stay prayed up. All right. We're seconds away, seconds on the shot clock, man. And, before we know it, man, we're going to be, looking back on all this shit, with the Lord, sipping that wine, with the King himself. Before we know it, this shit's going to be over. It's going to be like one nightmare. Pursuant to Psalm 26. So hopefully this was edifying. All praises to Yahweh Shai. Shalom to you, hopefully elect.